I hope this video finds you well and healthy and safe in the comfort of your home. My heart goes out to everybody who has recently lost their job or whose job has been temporarily put on hold, and everybody working on the front line to keep our world basically up and running. Your efforts are heroic and they're truly appreciated, and they do not go unnoticed, so thank you. In addition to all the fear that's going on in the world around us from afar and just within our own personal communities, there's a lot of talk about how do I structure my day now that I'm working from home. You know, typically people who have a job, there's a very distinct time of day where you set aside for lunchtime. That forces one to either plan ahead for packing lunch, or you either go out to lunch at a favorite restaurant. So there's a more distinct way of eating. And now that we are home in our kitchens, there's this additional idea of uncertainty or panic around being so close to the refrigerator. And on top of that, you have some areas of media that are kind of feeding off of that, no pun intended, and telling you, be aware, you're not to be trusted. So here are some guidelines, here are some rules that you need to follow so that you can be around the kitchen and you won't eat all the food that you've saved up for that's supposed to last you 2 weeks. So I know people are trying to be funny when they say, oh, I only have, a day's left in my 2 weeks worth of food. But I thought it might be helpful to share how can we reframe our way of thinking around being at home, and how do we make a not more structured, but a more thoughtful way of thinking about how we're going to eat and take care of ourselves. Because that's the thing, eating is a form of self-care. And during this time of panic and uncertainty, it can be really easy to forget to eat, or we might be feeling too nervous to eat, or it might feel uncomfortable to eat. So the best thing that you can do for yourself, even if it feels just you're not hungry or things aren't quite right, is to eat in a very reliable and consistent manner. And so with that, I want to share with you a couple of tips or recommendations that you might be able to apply that will help give you more peace during this tumultuous time. Tip number 1 is make sure that you eat enough. A lot of the times when you're at home, you might have the great fortune of having more time to put together a meal. But you might put together, say, a salad and think, oh, this salad's great, it's full of healthy, nutritious things, and it's all full of colors, and this is really good for me. But if it's a really dinky salad with not a substantial amount of ingredients, it doesn't have a solid protein or fat source, that can leave you feeling hungry very shortly after you eat the salad. And that could lead to a preoccupation with food, not eating enough. So make sure that you're eating in a way that is not only satiating, but satisfying. So if you do want to make a salad, for example, make sure that there is a hearty source of protein that will keep you full and satisfied. It could be a chicken breast, it could be canned salmon, canned tuna, it could be beans, it could be a big old hunk of bread, it could be both, it could be eggs. Play with different tastes and textures, but make sure that you eat enough so that you're able to continue on with your workday, and instead of being like, a lot of people think, oh, I have the munchies, I can't stop thinking about food. Well, it might just be because you're still hungry and you didn't fully get to the point where your body was fully satisfied. The second tip that I have for you is to have a plan. Not a meal plan. Everyone who knows me or who has worked with me in the past knows that I am anti-meal plan, because that's not real life. And that's a rant for another day. But what I mean about having a plan is having some idea of what kind of foods that you actually want to eat. This is a weird time. You might not be eating like quote unquote normal, and that's okay. You might be feeling better by eating more soothing, more comforting foods that remind you of a happier, better time. That's fine. So make sure that you have access to those foods. So when you go to your grocery store, however, hopefully now it's cut down either once a week or however, once every 2 weeks, however long you're food shopping for, make sure that you have food that will be easy to put together, that will be nourishing for you and your family, but also something that is easily accessible for you. Because the last thing that you want to do is have, on top of the stress that we already have, is to put on the stress of what do I eat now? So even if it's having sandwich fixings or making enough for dinner that you have leftovers for lunch the next day, having some rough idea so that you're not left with a bunch of decision fatigue and even more stress than what you're already feeling. So have a very loose plan or an idea of foods that feel good right now, and pay attention to that right now part, because it could change every single day. You're going to feel differently. Maybe you're going to want more, I don't know, some days I feel like having more vegetable-based foods, and then some days I'm like, give me all the cheese. And so that's fine, it's different. That's why I don't do meal plans. Every day is different. You're not a robot. That's tip number 2. Here's tip number 3. Do not work while eating. And this is really hard when you're working from home because it's right there. You could easily take your computer, your phone into the kitchen and not have a true break. And so when you're eating, my best advice I can give you is just eat. Put away the work, put away the social media, put away the news, and really give yourself a reprieve of all of that. Because have you ever eaten lunch or even dinner while being in front of the screen and then you finished and couldn't remember what you ate? Being present while eating really helps with the satisfaction factor. If you are distracted while you're eating, chances are you're going to want to go back in the kitchen and eat something else because you didn't get that satisfying experience. And so by taking a time to, all right, this is mealtime, it's almost like mentally preparing yourself for, now it's time to focus on the food, this is what I'm eating, and focusing on how good it is, and this allows you to see, is this enough? I talked about in one of my older videos about Goldilocksing. Is this too much? Is this enough? Is this just right? How do I feel right now? And when we take away all of the distractions, we're better able to tap into that sweet spot. So that's tip number 3, is to take away distractions while you're eating so that you can have a more satisfying experience. Most of the information that you're hearing right now is related to food and how it helps your physical health. How can I eat this so that my immune system is working 100% or boosted or enhanced, which, by the way, you don't want your immune system enhanced. Again, a rant for another day. Or how can food help fight against COVID-19? It's very much related to how can food help your physical health. But I think now more than ever, we need to talk and think about how food affects our mental health. I want to help. If anything that I've discussed in this video has resonated with you or has been something that you've been struggling with personally, I want to hear from you. Send me an email or contact me on my website, which is mariadelzard.com, with all the ways in which you're struggling mentally, physically, with food, your body, your relationship with food, anything that is of concern right now that's causing you additional anxiety on top of everything else. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to share your experience with others. I want you to be as specific and detailed as possible. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a handful of people and we're going to do a free 20-minute consult. And what I'd like to do is record that consult, anonymously of course, and I'd love to share that conversation with others because we're not alone in this, and if we can share our own experiences with others, we'll be able to help a much larger group of people together. So I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you found this video to be helpful, and please know that I'm here for you to support you in any way that I can during this next couple months. We really have to stick together, and so please know that I'm always available as a resource for you, so don't hesitate to reach out.